The North Carolina Senate tax plan is superior to the House alternative. That's the assessment from Ray Nothstine, opinion editor at Carolina Journal. It's also the headline of his latest column at carolinajournal.com. You looked at these two competing plans from the Senate and the House. Clearly, you liked one better than the other.
Absolutely. I think this is an important issue because a lot of folks just say, well, maybe they side with Republicans or conservatives and say, whatever happens, happens, and that's cool, and I'm for it. But there's big differences in these tax plans. I mean, you have a 24% decrease in the state income tax on the Senate side and only a 5% on the House side. There's a few differences, obviously. The House side excludes military pensions from any military pensions from future state income taxes. But one of the other key differences is that there's a $500 per child tax credit on the Senate side that will be a big boon for a lot of North Carolinians. I think the income thresholds are somewhere in the mid 70,000s for single filers, and married filing jointly is 140,000. So over years and years of paying income tax, it'll add up here in North Carolina, the differences between the two plans.
Yeah, and that per child tax deduction is on a sliding scale, so those at the lower end of the scale get an even better deal, and those who are up to that, either 70,000 or one for individuals or 140,000 for a married couple, get a slightly less of a deduction, but still $500 per child, nothing to sneeze at. You basically are talking about also on the corporate side, the Senate making more of a dent than the House would.
Right. It's the House lowers it to 1.99%. I love all these like Walmart numbers, or just wherever they're selling products. But the House side has it at 1.99%, and the Senate side, I think it's I can't remember the year, 2028 or 2027, but they phase it out completely. And so, I try to make the point, too, that the corporate income tax, while not getting rid of it may not be popular with most voters. I haven't seen the up-to-date polling on that. But it's not something that, rich fat cats or CEOs are paying out of pocket. I mean, you're paying for the consumer pays it. The workers pay it through maybe less wages or less hirings at the company. So obviously, a lot of states don't have a corporate income tax. Some states don't have an income tax at all. And so, there's obviously this feeling of making North Carolina even more competitive when it comes to its region.
When you talk about the Senate tax plan being more aggressive, you really are pointing out in this column that this is also promoting economic growth, promoting savings, all of the things that we should want.
Right. And I really stress the point in the piece that this is really a family issue. If we think of the family as an important pillar, it really is the essential pillar of American society. I mean, the nuclear family and families in general have always been seen in kind of free market ideologies and free societies and societies that promote liberty, that the family is that dynamic unit of society. And I think your tax code should reflect that. Your tax code should take that into account to a large degree and say, look, we trust families, we believe in families, so we're going to give them more of their earnings. We're going to allow them to keep more of their earnings. And I think that's an important side of tax policy that may be a little bit neglected today when we're kind of in our right and left trenches. The left tends to say that we got to have this money, invest in this and that, and they kind of view it as their money. But I think it's important to kind of take a step back and say, well, we need to cut taxes because it promotes economic growth. It absolutely does, and that's important. But we also need to, I think, trust families and let them be the dynamic decision makers in a free society.
Speaking of left and right trenches, we've been talking about the House versus the Senate, but basically these are groups that are both led by Republicans. On the other side, there's the Democrats, including Governor Roy Cooper, who might not like any of this. So it might end up being a fight between whatever the legislature agrees on and what Governor Cooper wants to do.
Right, and the legislature at the end of the day can walk away because we have a relatively recent law where the spending just continues at previous levels. So they're in a good position from a leverage standpoint, I think. But obviously, I think both sides want to make some sort of deal in this. They don't want to have to walk away again. And Cooper really didn't benefit politically from his decision to walk away before. So it'll be interesting to see what happened. And it was interesting that Cooper, he threw a backhanded comment out there by saying, these budgets are bad. The House budget's a little less bad, is essentially what he said. And he was kind of saying, that they're investing in stuff and they're spending a little bit more, but they have a long way to go. So the political calculations, it'll be interesting because Cooper's not running for re-election. You've got quite a bit of bipartisan support on the House side for the budget. So it'll be fascinating to see how this all shakes out. And obviously, I think if you're a taxpayer, you deserve and want some kind of tax relief out of this.
If you'd like to learn more, you can go to carolinajournal.com and find the column with the headline, NC Senate Tax Plan is Superior to House Alternative. Its author is Ray Nothstine, opinion editor at Carolina Journal. Thanks so much.
Thank you.